Two teenagers, one tragic moment, a nation divided. In the heart of Texas, a confrontation between 17-year-old Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony has exploded in a national firestorm. What began as a fatal incident at a high school track meet has quickly evolved into a battleground of legal interpretations, cultural narratives, and public outrage. Carmelo Anthony, who admitted to bringing a knife to school, is now facing serious charges after fatally stabbing Austin Metcalf. Some say it was an act of self-defense, others argue it was a premeditated and criminal. And then there is the internet, deeply polarized, fiercely emotional, and quick to turn tragedy into ideology. On one side, there are those decrying the Free Carmelo movement, calling it a grotesque distortion of justice, claiming it's fueled by political agendas and racial narratives. On the other side, voices are rising in defense of Carmelo, pointing to years of systemic mistreatment, community trauma, and a long-standing culture that elevates certain youths while criminalizing others. In today's video, we are diving deep into this trending and controversial case, laying out the legal facts, showcasing the opposite views, and asking the hard question: is this about justice or is it about identity? Are we analyzing the facts or are we letting our biases lead the conversation? This case is more than just a headline, it's a mirror, so buckle up. This won't be easy, but it's a conversation we need to have.
The moment I found out about the Carmelo Anthony's case in Frisco, Texas, this was my first thoughts, my very first thoughts. Anybody that has ever been in Frisco, stayed in Arlington, Dallas area, just no Texas, period. You know Frisco don't like us like that. Nothing else really matters. That's why, in my opinion, we learned of who he was. And his picture was on the internet less than, 24 to 48 hours? This is why the racism is at an all-time high. It was in Frisco, Texas. It don't even matter if it was self-defense or not. If the county itself is racist, just hope that his defense team is up to par and ready to battle whatever comes with this, the things in between outside of the case. Because he's already guilty in the eye of the public. And went from Carmelo Anthony being deemed a thug by people in Frisco, Texas, to his family saying that no, he was a straight A and B honor roll student. So that didn't work. So now we're going to talk about he ain't got no daddy? What does that sound like to y'all? I'm not saying that Carmelo Anthony is right, wrong, or indifferent. I just think it's super unfortunate that this happened in Frisco, Texas. Because in my opinion, the way they're psychoanalyzing him and his family, you would think we're talking about a grown-ass man who's lived to be 35, 40 years old. He's 17. But damn that, because our kids are seen as what? Grown. I just hate that it's politicized the way it is. But we all know why.
Because it's black and white, everybody wants to, oh, see, he wasn't a thug. Oh, they bullied him. Man, look, you know how many dudes get bullied in the hood? Oh, you know how many dudes get bullied every day in the hood? Y'all ain't saying nothing. Shut up, man. Y'all talk all that about the white kids bullying the black kid, but the black kids are getting bullied by blacks all day long because they're not part of a gang. They're getting jumped. They're getting sweated. You ain't doing shit. You ain't saying shit. You ain't having no answers, no conversations, no community meetings, none of this. You guys aren't calling the head gang members to have a community gathering to try to stop the violence. None of that shit. But you see a white kid and a black kid, and oh, here we go. You want to start bringing out all the racial, whatever you can point out. Come on, man. Save that shit, man. Stop acting like you're always being victimized. You are being victimized more by each other. You guys are victimizing each other every day. I see these youngsters always want to try to confront because they can't fight. They all they can do is shoot. They don't have no hands, but they constantly want to act like they tough, big time. Man, you're not tough and big time if you can't fight.
To talk about Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony. I have waited to talk about this until now because I needed to see the facts of the case and the witness statements, so I wasn't just out here yapping like most of these other people. Here are the legal facts of the case. Carmelo Anthony went to school armed with a knife. That is illegal. He was in a covered area that was reserved for certain people and he took a seat. That is not illegal. He was asked to leave. He put his hand in his backpack and said, "Touch me, see what happens." That constitutes threats and coercion, which is illegal. At this point, legally, Austin Metcalf had the right to self-defense because he had been threatened. He grabbed Carmelo and tried to move him out of the area, at which point, Carmelo stabbed him and he died. And that is documented by his own admission that he did that, but he thought he was doing it in self-defense. Unfortunately, he is ignorant of the law and he killed someone. The internet is trying to make this into some weird race thing, and it's not. It's a legal issue. 2 young men's lives are over. Anthony Carmelo is going to prison. This happened in Texas, and they ain't sweet there, bro. You can argue in the comments with me all you want. I really don't care. If you look at this from a legal standpoint, dude is guilty as sin, and he's cooked. Here's my question. Is anybody else sick of people on the internet trying to make everything about race? Let me know in the comments.
Asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless, and my brother stepped in and said he's...
And that is what led Austin to losing his life, ladies and gentlemen, and Carmelo being charged with the crime. However, social media is standing behind Carmelo and has raised tons of money. The Anthony family has created an official support fund for Carmelo and his family during this challenging time. And in just a few days, they've raised nearly $300,000. Many are saying that Carmelo is a hero. One family brought up this news article here where Carmelo Anthony reportedly saved their child from drowning. Again, this is a very sad situation that could have been avoided from both sides. Stay tuned to hear from Hunter, who's Austin's brother that was there at the time of the event.
This kid was sitting under our tent at track. We asked him to move. He started getting aggressive and talking reckless, and my brother stepped in and said he needs to move. He's like, make me move. Austin grabbed his backpack. The kid, I tried to whip around as fast as I could, but I didn't see this guy. But then I look at my brother.
This is so disturbing.
Believe or feel any kind of sympathy for Austin Metcalf at all. He put his hands on that young man when he should have kept them hands to himself. When the young man told him, touch me and see, you bet not touch me, that meant that I don't want you in my space, I don't want you touching me. Rosa Parks days is over. You cannot think that you can move somebody out of a seat that you don't own.
Victim.
And think that it's going to be okay. And you can't determine how I'm going to retaliate on you when you put your hands on me in an aggressive manner. Austin Metcalf got exactly what he deserved. Point blank, period. It's time out for feeling sorry for somebody's feelings or feeling emotional about somebody's feelings. Austin Metcalf should have kept his damn hands to himself. Point blank, period.
Oh my God. If you haven't been following this story, Austin Metcalf was a 17-year-old high school student who was stabbed to death by Carmelo Anthony at a track meet in Texas because Carmelo was in a tent that he was not supposed to be in. Metcalf asked him to move. It led to an altercation. But not just an altercation. Carmelo literally stabbed him to death. Admitted to it. So, kid's in a tent he's not supposed to be in, is asked to move, and his reaction, according to this lady, is justifiable. His reaction to killing someone, race baiting, perpetual victimhood, sick. And then the more disgusting part about this is Carmelo Anthony's family, this whole free Carmelo, he's a murderer. And then his family, it started a GoFundMe, and their initial goal was they raised $100,000, and then they changed it to $150,000, and then they changed it to $300,000, profiting off this 17-year-old kid's death at the hands of their son. And people are donating to it? What is wrong with this world? And you obviously know the people who are donating to it and the people who are this free Carmelo, or it's the left, because they want to put Black people in perpetual victimhood with no accountability or responsibility for their actions. No personal accountability. It's always some.
Austin Metcalf should still be here to do what? Exactly. What should he still be here to do? Bully more Black kids? Maybe take a go at the gay kids this time? The disabled kids, the poor kids, anybody that's not just like him. Kids. Don't play with me. Because I'm damn sure not going to play with you. Kids are dying. And it's your fault. That brother is right. Because you all want to create a fucking environment for these Austin Metcalfs so they can run through life like bulls in fucking china shops, just breaking precious things. And the worst part about it is you're not interested in helping mend the precious things they break. You just want us all to pretend like we didn't see it. Yeah, I blame you. I'm from small town Texas, baby. Old money. Friday night lights. I know exactly what I'm fucking talking about, and I know exactly what you all create. You are creating monsters. You're creating monsters. There was no reason whatsoever for Austin Metcalf to ever fucking put his hands on Carmelo Anthony. No reason. And there's no reason Carmelo Anthony should tolerate an Austin Metcalf putting their hands on him. But this is what you can't see. I can see how all children are just children. And when we are talking about individuals whose prefrontal lobes are not fully developed, giving them carte blanche because they're a fucking football star in their hometown has them doing all kinds of shit. You see, the Austin Metcalfs in your fucking small Texas towns are the same ones that will violate your daughters on the football field, and you make space for it. I blame you for letting that boy think he could fuck around and not find out. Bullshit yourselves. We gonna take care of ours. Yes, I put a fucking grip of money on that baby's bail fund. Fam, I suggest you do too, because you see, they already fucked up and lost their boy. We need to fight to bring ours home.
This entire situation surrounding Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony is a sad, tragic event that has polarized a lot of people and sparked a heated debate on justice, self-defense, race, and accountability. While some have rushed to the judge case based on emotion or political affiliation, it's important to take a step back and really analyze the facts of the case to understand what went wrong and how we can prevent something like this from happening in the future. First, let's break down the event that led to the tragic death of Austin Metcalf. According to the report, Carmelo Anthony, a 17-year-old student, was at a track meeting in Frisco, Texas, when he was asked to move from a tent that was reserved for other students. Now, on the surface, this seems like a simple matter of etiquette. One student being asked to move out of an area that shouldn't have been in. But the situation quickly escalated when Carmelo reportedly became aggressive and verbally threatened those who asked him to leave. This is where things start to take a darker turn. When Carmelo allegedly placed his hand in his backpack and said, "Touch me, see what happens," this statement alone raises serious red flags. Whether he intended to harm anyone or not, that is threat. In the eyes of the law, constituents serious at that point, Austin Metcalf, as the individual who was threatened, had the legal right to defend himself. When Austin tried to remove Carmelo from the area, the situation escalated even further. Carmelo, feeling cornered, reportedly stabbed Austin, untimely causing his death. From a legal standpoint, Carmelo's actions are incredibly troubling. While he may have thought he was acting in self-defense, the law doesn't necessarily support that defense if you were the one who escalated the situation. Self-defense can only be claimed if you are acting to protect yourself from an imminent threat. In this case, it's hard to argue that Austin's attempt to move Carmelo out of the tent was a life-threatening act that justified a violent response. In fact, Carmelo's own admission that he stabbed Austin, believing it was in self-defense, shows a dangerous misunderstanding of the law. What complicates the narrative further in the wave of support that Carmelo has received online, many people are quick to defend him, pointing to his background as a student who reportedly had good grades and never displayed violent behavior prior to the incident. But at the end of the day, the facts of the case are what matter. A young man is dead and another is facing several legal consequences for what happened that day. No amount of GoFundMe donation or social media support can bring Austin Metcalf back or undo the damage that's been done. This is where the case takes a darker turn into the realm of race and politics. In a country that is already deeply divided on issues of race, this strategy has been interpreted through various lenses, depending on one's perspective. For some, this incident has become a symbol of the racial divide that still exists in America. The defense of Carmelo Anthony, a black teenager, has become a rally cry for those who believe that black youth are disproportionately treated unfairly by the justice system. On the other side, there are those who argue that race is being used as an excuse to avoid accountability for Carmelo's action and that he should face the consequences of his actions, regardless of his race or background. But in reality, what happened here is not about race, it's about responsibilities, accountabilities, and the law. It doesn't matter whether Carmelo is black, white, or any other race. What matters is that a young man lost his life and another young man made a decision that ended in strategy. The focus should be on the facts of the case, not on the racial narratives that only serves to distract from the real issue at hand. What is disturbing is the way the internet has reacted to this case. There is a clear trend of people rushing to defense of Carmelo Anthony, not because they believe he was justice in his action, but because they want to turn this into yet another example of race baiting and victimhood. The argument goes that Carmelo was merely a victim of circumstances and that the entire system is stacked against him. Some have even gone as far as to say that Austin Metcalf had it coming, without fully understanding the context of the altercation or the facts surrounding the incident. What is equally troubling is the way some people have started to glorify Carmelo Anthony's action as an act of bravery or heroism. This narrative has taken hold despite the fact that he is the one who ultimately escalated the situation and caused someone's death. This idea that people are raising money for Carmelo's defense or supporting him as a hero is frankly disturbing. What does it say about us as a society when we justify violence and loss of life simply because it fits into a narrative we want to push? Let's not forget that Austin Metcalf was a real person with family, friends, and a future that was tragically cut short. And yet his death is being overshadowed by a growing movement that seeks to justify Carmelo's action rather than focus on the tragic consequences of those actions. There is no justice in glorifying violence or making excuses for it. It's also worth mentioning the hypocrisy that exists in the way people defend certain individuals, depending on their race or status. We have all seen now, in some cases, young black men are treated harshly by the justice system. But this is not the case here. Carmelo Anthony has been given a platform, a GoFundMe page, and a wave of social media support despite the fact that his action led directly to a young man's death. If this had been a different set of circumstances, we might not have seen the same kind of support or sympathy for Carmelo. So let's ask ourselves, are we defending Carmelo because we genuinely believe in his innocence or because his case fits neatly into a larger narrative that we want to believe? At the end of the day, this entire strategy is a wake-up call for all of us. We need to stop allowing the narratives to be shaped by ideology and start focusing on the real issues at hand. A young man is dead, and the person responsible for the death needs to be held accountable. This isn't about race or politics, it's about justice. In conclusion, we need to be more responsible in how we discuss issues like this, whether it's online, in the media, or in the courtroom. We need to ensure that we are holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of who they are or where they come from. We need to stop glorifying violence and instead of start asking the hard question, how did we get here? And how can we prevent this from happening again? That is it for today's video. I know this is a complex and emotional topic, but I think is one we need to have open conversations about. If you agree, or if you have a different perspective, feel free to share your thoughts in the comment below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more in-depth discussions on these important issues. Until next time, stay informed and stay thoughtful.